Welcome back to the Now Morning Show, and we're starting off with things to add to your calendar. Speaking about the Arima Methodist Church Health Fair, it's happening this Saturday, the 28th of June, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And joining us this morning in studio is Marielle Cooper-Leach, the chair of the Organizations and Education Committee of the Arima Methodist Church. Good morning, Marielle, and welcome.
Good morning, Natasha. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, Marielle, so we were speaking off air and you were sharing this is the first one for the community. What inspired this?
Well, the Arima Methodist Church, the Organizations and Education Committee, our mandate is to help to organize the groups within our church community, but also about educating and training, not just our church community, but the community in which we are located. It doesn't make much sense as a church organization to be insular, and you know, it really is about serving and that call to service. And this was, we saw that there was the community in which we are located is one where there are a number of low-income households and where people are there. Maybe a hesitance to access services or not knowing about services. You hear people speak a lot about what they didn't know that this existed. So it really is about empowering, educating, empowering, providing people with the resources, bringing resources and services to them, and not necessarily waiting for them to go to the resources.
You know, what's particularly interesting is with this health fair in particular, I'm seeing a lot of different services. Many times, you know, you get the basics, you get your testing, you know, you maybe getting a referral, but there's such an in-depth list here, I mean, including things such as geriatric care, pediatric and adolescent. So we can see that you and your group would have identified gaps in the market.
Yes.
What other services are offered and why were they chosen particularly?
We have optical services, we have and I want to touch on the parent-teen communication and adolescent health medicine, because your guest, Dr. Asha Pemberton, who spoke just before this segment, she's actually going to be joining us for the health fair, and we're quite excited about that because she comes with a wealth of experience and expertise. So she will be providing services. We have a speech and language therapist as well, mental health service providers. We have exercise and an aerobics instructor. Thankfully, the Defense Force has, partnered with us on that. We also have the blood bank, a blood donation drive, which we are really hoping will get the kind of traction. People tend to be a bit, concerned about giving blood, and again, it's about knowledge. It's about understanding what the benefits are, and it's for us to take care of ourselves, but to take care of each other as well.
Something that is critical. Now, with the blood bank being there, people going to be, can they donate blood on the spot, or is it just a case of familiarizing yourself?
No, it is for donations on the spot. So it will be about familiarizing, but the unit is available for people to donate on the day.
Now, this is great, the health services that are offered, because I see also you have nutrition, chiropractic, you would have mentioned the optical services, also female health services.
Yes.
So this is wonderful, but as you mentioned, this is the first one. So what about the future moving forward with the health fair? Do you see this as something that will continue?
I believe it will, because the need is there. We see that the need is there, and we really feel quite strongly that this being the inaugural one, I mean, Malabar the Malabar and the Tampuna Road community is fairly extensive. So even though there have been health fairs in and around the area, in that specific locale of the Malabar community, I could see that residents would be quite eager for us to have another one. And again, falling in line with service. And we're also going to be providing prayer and counseling services. It's a church organization, so we can't get away, it would be remiss of us not to offer that as well. and as far as possible that we're serving the needs of the community.
I'm glad you mentioned that particularly because, of course, you focus on the mental health components along with the physical health component, but the spiritual health component is not necessarily something that we would think about with a health fair, or even some people will think about in general. Walk us through the spiritual health component and also what we could look forward to on the day.
So the way the church is organized, it's our head pastor, our minister who's responsible for our church, 2 ministers actually, and a team of members of the congregation who have some experience, particularly professionally, not necessarily as a mental health providers, but who as teachers, but as persons, intercessors, who are able to listen to and pray with people what their concerns might be. Spiritual health is the underpinning of our health. I mean, everything, as far what we believe is that there's a spiritual component to everything that happens. So if your spirit is not right, if it is that you have issues, and it could go as far as as simple as quarrels with family, or it could be as serious as spiritual warfare. But it is really about speaking to that root yearning that we all have to connect in some way to the divine. So it is helping people to get to that point and understanding that this is as important as the physical and the mental.
Which definitely for many is going to be a challenge to accept as well. So hats off to you and the team for really bringing this together and bringing that out to the forefront, because again, with health fairs, you don't necessarily see that spiritual health component,
correct,
which could be the start of a trend. Now, one of the things that we see out of this is the desire for the community to come together more. And one of the best ways, of course, to start is with a health fair. Is this the beginning of other initiatives that are going to be rolled out within the community? And if so, what initiatives are you perhaps more drawn to at this point in time?
So we have, Arima Methodist Church, we've been in the Malabar community for several years. And not to date myself, but probably for as long as I'm alive. I know myself as a child growing up in church. And we've done probably more around fundraising, from a more fundraising aspect, if it's fish fries or concerts. And we really wanted to get more into that giving, that service, not necessarily tied to raising funds. And as much as the church needs the funds, and people may have their own questions and challenges with that, but really more outreach, going around to neighboring communities, providing school lessons, giving after school care, after school homework centers. These are conversations that we have been having about how much more, what else we can do. And that in itself is, we want to be led by our faith and the Holy Spirit leading us to really speak to and treat with the needs, and not just going off on a frolic about what we think people need, so and we could get into find yourself in some trouble with that, because you go off thinking, well, okay, we'll do this, and we think, but it's not really speaking to the issues at hand. So there are a lot, the church has a role to play in the social development of our community. So we are really just tapping into that and being open to the guidance as to what needs we are to meet.
Where will we be able to attend the health fair? What location is it being held at?
So it's at the church itself, Arima Methodist Church, which is located on Simone Avenue in Arima. Simone Avenue is actually off of Tampuna Road. For the Easterners will probably be a bit more familiar with that, but Tampuna Road off of the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, and people, there's the Arima Central Secondary School. It's actually on the back street to that. So hopefully, people we have our town crier. We're pushing really hard to get the word out, and hoping that people will come out in their numbers.
And as you mentioned that, where can we get more information?
So our Facebook page, Arima Methodist Church, and follow that page, and updates will be, all the updates will come from that source.
Wonderful. And it starts at 10 a.m., yes?
10 a.m. to 2 p.m., yes.
Excellent. Well, Marielle, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure to have you here, and hoping that we see more of the Arima Methodist Church Health Fairs.
Thank you.
The Arima Methodist Church Health Fair is happening this Saturday, the 28th of June, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can call 765-3450 for more information. And stay tuned. There's more coming up right after this break.
He shall